The Book of Boba Fett is fully out now on Disney Plus, and I've not talked about this show yet on YouTube, and the reason is I just binged it over the past few days. I didn't actually watch this one week to week. The first day it came out, I forgot something else came out. I was more interested in that. I totally forgot it came out, and then just week to week I heard it wasn't the best, so I didn't really hop on the train, but I wanted to watch it for the finale, which I did watch last night, and I have a lot to say about this show. There's a lot I'm going to talk about here, and I also want to talk fully in spoilers, so if you have not seen the show, go check it out for the second half, because the second half is really great. The first half, not so much. And I would normally explain the plot, but you kind of have to know Mandalorian Season 2 to know it, so I won't exactly say it because I could spoil that show. But anyway, it's about Boba Fett and some other characters that are introduced here. And this show is so difficult to talk about because half the show, as I said, is really great, but the first half is not the best. But I want to go through all the episodes and really talk about them individually just to, I guess, get my full opinion on them, because episode to episode my thoughts changed all the time. But I guess we'll just start off with episode 1. So this show started off and I was like, okay, it's all right. It's the pilot. We got some backstory. We got the modern thing. It's going back and forth. Kind of cool. It's all right though. It is nothing compared to The Mandalorian. And then we got episode 2. And the same thing kind of happened. It was maybe a little bit better. I think that some of the stuff with his backstory was a little bit interesting, but again, it felt unnecessary going back and forth like that. And then episode 3 rolled around and I was like, oh shit, are we doing this for the entire show? Because I was 3 episodes in, I was like, not 3, I was probably like just over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I guess, in. And I was like, this better not be the entire show because this is really going downhill. I think that episode 3 is probably the weakest one. It introduced these kind of street characters and I like them. And I know I'm flying through these first few episodes, but it's just because I don't care about them that much. And a lot of people really don't like these street characters, but I was like, they're kind of interesting in a way. I mean, there wasn't really too many things that were that interesting about the show before, so they gave it a new light. And there's one really stupid thing people are complaining about in the last episode, which I will get to because I think that it's a dumb complaint. It's totally fine, never bothered me. But anyway, these characters, they're all right. They're probably just as good as the other ones. I like Boba Fett. As a character, I like Boba Fett. It was weird seeing him with his helmet off so much in the show because you never see bounty hunters or anything like that, but it gave him a little bit more humanity. But I will say every time he had his helmet on, it meant the scene was going to be more interesting, if that makes sense, besides some of the flashbacks. I will say some of the flashbacks at times in some of the episodes were interesting. There was just too many of them because in episode 4, we did that again. We did it again. And I think the whole thing with the Tusken Raiders and stuff, I thought that was cool to kind of see that's where he went after Sarlacc Pit, whatever. I thought that was cool, but we didn't need not 4 hours, but over 3 hours of it. I thought that was really overkill and got so boring. So I can see so many people who watched it week to week why they kind of just got bored of the show and just like, yeah, this isn't that great, because it isn't. It's fine. The visuals are, of course, amazing. The CGI is flawless. Literally not a single bad shot. A lot of the shots here are very beautiful with the sun and all these planets. It looks really great, but character-wise and story-wise, really not that interesting. But then we get to episode 5. Called Return of the Mandalorian, and you guys can guess where this is going. This episode, one of the best episodes of all, like the Star Wars stuff, like season 1, 2, Mandalorian, and this, easily one of the best ones. This is one of my favorite episodes of this show as well, of course, because it's basically just all Mando, and it opens and you see his shadow and everything, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And it was. Seeing Mando with the Darksaber was awesome. That opening scene though, where he just kicks so much ass and then he kind of just says, I don't have a problem with you guys, you can go in there and take whatever you want, I don't care as long as you let me through. Like, that's just so Mando, or Din Djarin, or whatever you want to call him. I think I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. I just think that was so cool, and seeing him kind of like again, I said spoilers, of course, get demoted, you could say, as a Mandalorian, where because he took his helmet off, they're like, nope, you're no longer a Mandalorian. I thought that was interesting, and also giving this little guy the armor, which is kind of in the next episode, was great. And I don't know what it is. I'm just going to talk about this really quick. I know I'm kind of speaking differently in this video, but it's just kind of spoiler, so most of the time it's more laid back. I have like this new super obsession with Baby Yoda or Grogu or whatever you want to call him. There's a really funny Grogu joke in this, but I've always really liked this guy. I always thought he was adorable, but after this show, I don't think there's any other movie creature that I want more than Grogu. Like, I always thought Stitch because he's my favorite Disney character, but just looking at Grogu here, I mean, I want one so badly. But anyway, episode 5, again, was great. It's unfortunate that it took 4 episodes to get like a really good episode. I mean, those first 4 weren't bad. I just don't think they were all that great. Some were good, some were just okay. They kind of just all meshed together for me. Like, they don't really stand on their own, and that kind of sucks because I only watched them over the course of like the past 3 or 4 days, and they're not super long or anything, so that kind of says something about the episodes. But then we get into chapter 6, episode 6, whatever you want to say, and this might be my favorite Star Wars episode of all the Disney Plus shows, just because it is so good. I mean, the reveal at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian is amazing, but again, we're talking spoilers here. This just... I don't even know. Like, when I was just watching, I think I was smiling the whole time. I haven't felt that way watching a Star Wars thing since watching the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. Maybe even more because it lasted longer, but I've said spoilers a million times in this video. Luke is back. Luke is training Grogu, and it is adorable. The way that when their eyes are closed, Grogu opens it, and then he's using the Force to try to eat that frog. And then Luke's just like, no, puts it down. As they're closing their eyes, Luke lifts all the frogs up. I just thought that was so awesome. It was just so adorable. And the CGI on Luke was perfect. I mean, the fact that that was Mark Hamill from the 80s, like early 80s, 1980 or 1983, whatever you want to say, technically would have been Return of the Jedi, so 83. I mean, it was flawless. I didn't see a problem with it. I know a lot of people complained about season 2 Mandalorian. I didn't think it was bad. It wasn't like the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was really impressive, something I can never do. But this is easily, out of all the kind of creating the faces that they've done throughout the Star Wars projects, I guess I could say, not just movies, this is easily the best. It really felt like there was an actor there. The way they changed shots, his head will be turning this way, turn this way, he'll be looking dead on, eyes closed, all the motions. It was just perfect dialogue. Everything was so great. I really just felt like I was watching original trilogy Luke once again, which to me, I mean, I know it's basic, but Luke's kind of always been my favorite, and I just think for me, I got chills talking about it. Seeing that was amazing. Seeing him train Grogu was great. Seeing Mando go and try to get like one of the things he loves, obviously, he refers to him as a child a lot. It was basically his child because they have like a father-son relationship. And then in the finale, which again, I really enjoyed. I really liked the finale when he sees Grogu again and his dad instinct kicks in right away. It was so cute, and Grogu jumps up to him, they hug, and the joke I was talking about was when that other woman, I forget her name, but anyway, Grogu shows up in an X-Wing, and then he's like, oh, what's your name? Grogu. Oh, Grogu, that's a terrible name. I just thought that was funny because the internet obviously hated it, and I even by accident say Baby Yoda all the time. But that finale was so great. It built up a lot of things. It used some things from the past episodes, even like the okay episodes. It used some things from it. I really loved the whole Rancor thing. I think that Boba Fett riding it was great, and I love the partnership between Mando and Boba. I just think that that is like exactly what I wanted to see in this show. If Mando was going to be in it, I wasn't sure, but I had a pretty good idea that he was. But just seeing them just fly away on their jetpacks, I just thought that was so cool. Or when they're kind of like being a duo trying to fight all these things, and you got these massive robots attacking them, and you have all the people that have come together. Not a Beatles reference, but kind of is, because I'm going to see the Rooftop concert in IMAX tomorrow. Anyway, I'll have a video about that soon. That was a side note, but anyway, I just thought it was awesome. The action was so great. It was so interesting. Again, last episode, jumping back for a minute, seeing Cad Bane here, because I saw him on screen and I went, oh my god, they actually put him here, but I totally forgot his name. I was like, I know you. I've seen you all the time. This is amazing that you're here, but what's your name again? I could not remember for the life of me. So of course I looked it up, and then I was like, oh yes, of course. And I love the way they dealt with the dynamic between him and Boba. I think that Cad Bane kind of going that this isn't like a bad thing, but like the stereotypical route of being like, this is actually what happened to your family and all this stuff. It's obviously the Tusken Raiders weren't his family, but they kind of took him in and really helped him move forward in his life, Boba Fett obviously. So I think that him kind of using that, as in Cad Bane using that as a negative thing, worked really well and kind of added some emotional weight to that final episode. And obviously the whole choice of Grogu going with Mando instead of training with Luke. I mean, when Luke pulled out the lightsaber of Yoda, I literally wanted to cry. I love Star Wars so much. So seeing the second half of the show was great. I really like the finale. And that thing I'm talking about is like the tiny little spin move that one of the like street kind of characters does. Everybody's complaining about that, but I'm like, I don't care. I just thought it was cool. And that Wookiee, like the darker Wookiee that was I don't know, I forget what its name is. I thought it was pretty cool, kind of cool seeing him on the side, and I just really like this episode. I think it ended with a great finale, and the final scene also was just great. You have Grogu tapping on the little window of their fighter, or whatever you want to say, plane, whatever you want to call it, and then Mando's just like, no, he's like, fine, jumps into hyperspace, boom, you just see Grogu, ooh, like this. I just thought it was adorable. I really like the second half of the show, although the first half really brought it down, so I think it's always better to have a more solid second half than first half because it leaves a better taste in your mouth. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. This video is very long, but that first half, I do have to acknowledge it in how kind of mediocre it is. Again, good things, good CGI, good acting, but it just wasn't too interesting character-wise and plot-wise. Just kind of, there were things that seemed out of character. I know we don't know some of these too well, but it just seemed weird. It's like, it doesn't seem like they would do this, so it's hard to kind of talk about the show as a whole. It kind of works better to talk about the first half and the second half. It's like non-Mandalorian, Mandalorian. I think that the Book of Boba Fett is an alright show when it's just focusing on Boba Fett and the other characters, but when it becomes The Mandalorian season 2.5 is when it really gets great. I love those last 3 episodes. I think they are amazing, and I'm going to give the Book of Boba Fett a 3.5 out of 5. Again, it's so hard to rank these because those last episodes, like some of them I would give 5 out of 5s, but then there's other episodes that I would give 3 out of 5s or 2.5 out of 5, so I kind of have to balance it. I went back and forth between a 3.5 and a 4 out of 5, but then I also realized that there were nights where I was like falling asleep. There was one night, I think I was watching episode 3 or 4, and I was like falling asleep while watching it, so I just paused it because I wasn't retaining anything that was happening because I just wasn't interested. But that second half I'm going to be talking about for a while. If you want to hear me talk more about this show, just ask me questions down below, and also make sure to join my Patreon because I can post a ton of stuff about The Mandalorian and Boba Fett and everything on there. I can't wait for Obi-Wan next. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.